Yes. But, there's an idea that the truth will set you free, right? And that's a very strange idea, because you could imagine that I could come here and I could decide there are things I want to do to promote my books, let's say, and I could tilt our conversation towards that, or I could just say, well, I'm going to pay attention to what's going on here, and I'm going to see what happens, and I'm going to say what I think, and then I'm going to assume that whatever the outcome is the right outcome, because it was based on something approximating the truth.
Ultimately, what is your goal? What is the point of Dr. Jordan Peterson? What do you hope to achieve through what is now huge global fame?
I hope to encourage people. Other than that, I want to see what happens. I want to say what I believe to be true as clearly and carefully as I possibly can, and I want to see what happens as a consequence. And what people don't understand about that, in some sense, is your happiness. The purpose of your life is not going to be happiness. Sometimes it is. Sometimes that will come. But there will be difficult periods in your life, and happiness won't suffice then. But what you can have in your life is an adventure. You can have an adventure. And the truth is the best adventure. There's no doubt about that. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is, you don't know what's going to happen if you say what you think. Now, I don't mean incautiously, and I don't mean provocatively or any more than necessary. You don't know what's going to happen. So that's very adventurous. But also, if it's you and your voice, then it's your adventure. And if it isn't, like if you're crafting your speech or manipulating in any way, or parroting or abiding by the dictates of the crowd, then I don't know whose adventure you're having, but it's not yours.
See, I'm on this show, Piers Morgan Uncensored, because ironically, I got censored. I was doing a morning show at another network, and after the Meghan Markle, Prince Harry interview on Oprah Winfrey, I said I didn't believe a word that she was saying, Meghan Markle. And I was told I had to apologise for this. And I said, well, why would I apologise for an honestly held opinion?
There's a question.
I didn't believe it. But I was told either you apologise or you lose your job.
Yeah.
So I took the losing the job option rather than compromise my free speech idea.
Was that a good idea?
Yes, I think so. Well, because ultimately I think you've got to be true to yourself.
Well, right? Or you're true to something else.
Well, I think we're in a weird world, actually driven by people like Meghan Markle, where she talks about my truth.
Yeah.
I don't understand what my truth means.
It means do what I want.
Right, but my truth doesn't actually exist. There is the truth, which is fact-based and unarguable, and then there is opinion around fact and truth. Yeah. You can't have your own version of the truth, it seems to me.
Well, it's complicated, because when people say that, they are referring to the degree that they're referring to anything, that there are some experiences that are in some ways purely subjective, and they're also valid in their subjectivity. So, for example, if you're sitting there and you say, I'm in pain, and it's assuming I believe you're not manipulating me, I don't have access to that pain, but it's reasonable for me to assume that that's a genuine experience on your part and act accordingly. And so there is a realm where experience is valid that's subjective, but that doesn't mean that everything that happens to you subjectively is now to be regarded by fiat as the truth I have to abide by.
And shouldn't we, in a democracy, should it not be my right to listen to you with great respect and then say, I don't believe a word of what you've just said?
Well, it's also your responsibility. It's not just your right. And it's also one of the things people don't understand is that ability of the other person to oppose or rein in or satirize or dance with or joke or play with, all of those things, they're also what keeps you together and sane, because we all have a tendency to drift in our weakest place, let's say. And so some people become alcoholic and some people will become narcissistic and so on. We all have our temptations. And one of the ways we buttress ourselves against that is by having other people say, no, you're not funny. There, you're boring. There, you need to be reined in. And if you deprive yourself of that, that's what happens to hyper-celebrities and dictators. They deprive themselves of that social regulation because they forbid it, and then they're in hell. And sometimes they drag everyone along with them too. So, yeah, really.